What if a simple mineral had a personality, a distinct character, with its own moods, its own complaints, even its own pet peeves? Today we're going to explore exactly that, drawing from a classic homeopathic materia medica. The whole idea here is that every substance has this unique personality, a blend of its mental, emotional, and physical effects. We're going to dive deep into the profile of one in particular, Antimonium crudum. All right, so here it is. What you're looking at is the raw substance itself, sulfide of antimony. Looks pretty simple, right? Just a chunk of rock. But according to our source material, this seemingly plain mineral has a really complex story, a detailed profile that describes a very, very specific type of person. So, how do you even begin to understand this kind of personality? Well, in these classic texts, every remedy profile has a key feature, a signature sign that basically acts as your guidepost for everything else. And here it is, a single, unmistakable physical clue. The source calls it the red strand of the remedy. Think of it like the main thread in a tapestry. If you pull on this one thread, the whole picture starts to come together. This single symptom, that's our starting point. And that's the thing you've got to remember. This isn't just some random detail. According to the text, it's the key. By following this red strand, we can start to build out the complete picture of the Antimonium crudum personality. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we've got our physical clue. Now let's follow that thread into the mental and emotional side of things. This is where it gets really interesting, where we start to see the actual temperament take shape. And right off the bat, you see it's not straightforward at all. The mental state is defined by a powerful internal conflict, basically a state of total contradiction. Just look at this. On one hand, you've got this deep, weeping sadness and a real leave me alone kind of vibe. But on the other hand, you have this intense irritability. The source points out that a child in this state literally can't stand to be touched or even looked at. It's this wild mix of being melancholy, even sentimental in the moonlight, but also super cross and touchy. That's the mental picture we're dealing with here. Right, so it's not all just in the head, not by a long shot. This personality profile extends to a whole list of physical issues, from the stomach all the way to the skin. And wow, look at how wide-ranging this is. You've got the gastric complaints from eating too much, sure, but then it jumps to things like thickened skin, warts, messed up nails, and even a whooping cough. I mean, it's all over the place. But if you look a little closer, even with all that variety, you start to see a pattern. A central theme emerges, and it's pretty clear. Disorders of digestion are right at the heart of this whole profile. So who is this person? What kind of constitution are we talking about? Well, the text suggests it's often a great fit for children and young people who tend to put on weight easily. It also points to what it calls the extremes of life. So we're talking about the very young and the very old. Okay, so we're almost there. The last piece of this personality puzzle is figuring out the triggers. You know, what makes everything worse? The source lays out a super clear list of what it calls aggravations. And it's a really specific list. Cold bathing is a huge one, right at the top. Then you've got getting overheated, especially from the sun, which totally connects back to that irritability we saw earlier. Overeating makes another appearance, no surprise there, right? That just hammers home the whole digestion theme. And then just a general problem with extreme temperatures, both hot and cold. And the text really, really hammers home that first point about cold bathing. We're not just talking about a dislike here. The source calls it a great aversion. It even paints this picture of a child who starts crying the moment they're washed with cold water. That's a really powerful and defining part of this profile. So we've looked at the mood, the physical complaints, the triggers, but how does it all connect? Well, it all circles right back to where we started. And here it is. The text connects all the dots perfectly. That irritable, sentimental child who can't stand cold water and has stomach problems, guess what? They also have that signature, thick, milky white coating on their tongue. See? All of it. The mental, the physical, the emotional. It's all woven together by that one single red strand. It's a pretty wild way to think about a simple mineral, isn't it? I mean, describing it with a full-blown personality, like a character in a book. And it definitely gets you thinking. If this one little substance has such a detailed story, how many other stories are out there, hidden in nature, just waiting for us to figure them out?